All right. Well, welcome to Cedar Rock. And we are, as many of you know, that we've been doing something that's called Testimony Tuesdays. And this is an opportunity for us to ask people that have been attending our church here at Cedar Rock to share the different ways that God has been working in their life. And today we have Shannon Badger with us. And Shannon has a testimony that she would like to share. So Shannon, what's the story that you would like to share with us?
Okay, well, this story probably goes back to when I was a preschooler, my parents bought a children's Bible for us that, has wonderful, really wonderful pictures in it. And I was 3 years old and I'm looking through all the pictures. I'm just fascinated by these beautiful pictures that practically look like photographs back in 1960s. And I just wanted the Bible. I wanted God. I had no idea what was there, but I wanted him. And when I became a Christian, when I was 12, I was always seeking him. I lived in downtown Chicago. I would go to movies by myself because we didn't have a TV. And I would take my Bible and I'd read through the book of Philippians while I'm waiting for the start. Well, when you've been a Christian for almost 50 years, you learn a lot. Because there's never been a time in my life when I let him go. I just wanted him more. I wanted do God better. I wanted to be able to rely on him. I wanted the peace that came with him. And I found so many different ways to talk to the Lord and to listen to the Lord. And, if I listed off the names of some of the people that I've studied, you'd know them, and I got it. I got it. But there was, along with that, was a tendency in me to like checklists. I want to make sure I got all my ducks in a row, got everything checked. Is there something I'm not doing right? And so recently, last summer, when we started doing these studies, the Bible study about listening to the Lord, I felt like a newbie. I assumed I didn't know how to do it, which is maybe a good way to start. At the same time, I was listening to people talking about hearing from the Lord and feeling like, but I don't do that. I don't get pictures. I don't think I hear words. And that's part of the problem because I am a writer and a speaker and a teacher and I like words. And if I have so many journals that they end up getting stuck on closet shelves and bedside tables underneath, because when I'm done with them, because what do you do with a journal that's 20 years old? And so, but if you went through my journals, you would find so many times when I would say, how do I know these are not my words, but they're your God? And so I'm listening to so many other people. For the first time, I was actually talking about this with people because I've been studying this all by myself, gone through Henry Blackaby's Bible study 3 different times with, and Bible study and by myself twice, but never actually getting into the nitty gritty and the doing it. And right here we are. What does God have to tell you? And so that question, how do I know these are your words and not mine? Because I'm not really patting myself on the back. I got a lot of words, and some of them come out pretty well. But so how do I know? Well, way back last century, my dad was trying to help his leadership team at his business. And so he had everybody do the big version of the Myers-Briggs, which is a personality profile type of thing. And as long as he was paying a psychologist to evaluate them, he made it available for my mom and my husband and myself. Well, one of the characteristics that's on the Myers-Briggs is, are you a thinker or a feeler? And every time we came to one of those questions, I would start to cry. I would stomp around the room, getting mad and crying at the same time because I felt like a thinker. But I didn't want to be a thinker. I wanted to be a feeler because the people I admired the most in my life, my dad and my husband, they were feelers. I want to be a feeler. Why can't I be a feeler? And so the psychologist said I was messed up. But anyway, so it was just before Christmas, just after Christmas, because I was watching the recording of the Bible study. And one of the leaders was saying that her husband hears words, like right out there, words, whereas she got feelings. And I was like, wait, that's a thing? Like, feelings are okay? God can use my feelings? Because I go way back to the days when Dr. Dobson wrote his book, Emotions, Can You Trust Them? And the answer is no. So I'm sitting here going, I can? Like, it's okay. It's okay to have feelings. And I realized that I do get those feelings. The feelings like a wave of warmth and something I call holy goosebumps or holy tears, where I have no idea why this happened, but all of a sudden, and sometimes it's that in your pit of your stomach. And I was just, it was thrilling to me because now I knew if I was thinking it, it would be words. But if I'm feeling it, because I am not the warm, fuzzy person, and if I was feeling it, it was the Lord, because I never knew where these things were coming from. And unlike religion, which was my checklist, it was a relationship. It's back and forth. It's, let's talk about this, but he was using the thing I wanted so much. I wanted those feelings. I wanted to know they were legitimate. And he said, yes, your words are fine. I will tell you if they're the right words, and I'll tell you with feelings. And I am so grateful and in awe of the Lord that here we are. Here I am. I mean, I'm a founding member of this church, been a devout Christian for half a century, and I can still learn.
Yeah.
And I know it's not done. The relationship is not done just because you've read through the Bible more times than you can count, And I think about how the very first pastor who started our church was 78 when he came here, and he was willing to change the way he thought and the things that he had for his entire life said, this is how we do things. And he was willing to change. And how my dad, who's 83, and Pastor Roger, who's up in his upper 70s, every single one of them says, I am learning something and I am changing. And that's the Holy Spirit. And that's a living relationship with the living God. It's so very exciting.
It's incredible. And I've heard that a lot of times, even in my pastoral journeys, of people saying that, that you can't trust feelings or whatever emotions. And I get where that comes from. And I would say most Christians in their beginning, especially of their journey, that emotions can be misleading. Like you can feel empty, but God's still there. Or you can feel depressed, but he's still with you, and those kind of things. But in
manufacturing feelings, that's just you whipping up an emotional thunderstorm because it feels good.
Exactly. But as we grow with him in that relationship, what I have found is that our emotions, we become more in tuned with it, where we can trust it as almost a thermometer to a certain degree, where he can show us certain things and affirm certain things. But that does take practice. It takes time. And some of it is really seeking him to validate, is this from you or is this from me? And expecting him to show up, but if we just cut it too quickly, where it's just intellectual, then it cuts off that experiential part of the relationship, because both are important. You do need to have the intellectual side of it, but you also need to have the experiential side. And some people will lean a little bit more to one or the other. But the key, like you said, is learning how to bring them both in, even if you're more of the intellect, but you still have that emotional part. And that's also, a place where he can affirm some of the things, like you said. I like that a ton, that he affirms that this is truly from me. And if we have a question, we can always ask for validation from him. Yeah. And so what I find is that those emotions, much like the land, I'm sure you're probably like this, the land in the Bible is something that is of covenant. And land that's Adam, is dirt man. We're made from the land. Covenant that God gives us is a promised land. And so it's relationship. That's what it is. It's an intimate relationship of us with God. And so that's always been part of even the promised land, is coming into a place that we have this relationship with him, where his presence dwells with us in a place in an increased measure. And so when we have that relationship, then those emotions can be somewhat of a thermometer, but we also have to be careful because they can be misleading. But as we grow, we get better at recognize what can I trust, what can't I trust. That comes with anything with practice.
Yeah. And, I've had a lot of years to sort myself out and to recognize sometimes what feelings are mine and what feelings are the Lord's. What makes you angry?